So once again, we have this, I feel like it's a weekly occurrence at this point of how good is Derek Carr? Is Derek Carr good? Does Derek Carr suck? Derek Carr's numbers this season are absolutely fantastic. So far, he's thrown no interceptions, 8 touchdowns. He has a completion percentage of 73.6, which is just crazy. And he's averaging still a respectful 7.6 yards per attempt. And he's got over 1,000 yards, so, he's on pace for over 4,000, on pace for about 4,400. So, statistically, he is playing very good football. And I actually think the tape is showing that he's playing good football as well. There is one key flaw this Raiders team has right now on offense, but so far their offense is playing very good. Carr is playing very good. Let's just jump into it, really, and we'll start things off with this one. Real quick, just wanted to remind everybody, I have a Patreon. It is, the link is in the description. I have a video about Alvin Kamara on there right now, and I'm going to make a video every week, and it's only $1 a month. So if that's what you're into, can help support this channel, and I'd really appreciate it. But if you want to just watch the free stuff, that's obviously okay too. And back to your regularly scheduled video. I like this play. What's going to happen is that it's cover 3 zone for Buffalo. And what they're going to do is, so it's cover 3 zone. And for the Raiders, they have a concept that can beat this coverage. You have one receiver who's running deep. And typically what happens when they run deep is that the safety stays deep with them, which now means that the route that's kind of cutting right in front of the safety, typically, now that can be a lot more wide open because the safety has been pushed deep. That's typically what happens on this play. That's the way the concept is supposed to work. But once this play starts, notice how when the player is running deep, continues to run deep, the safety, he's kind of staying over the middle. He's kind of trying to make sure he doesn't allow the more shallow route to be complete, which is just a complete and utter mistake. It's just something that shouldn't happen right here. And I think that he's figuring, hey, I have a couple other Buffalo players who are, I have a couple teammates, one on each side. One of them will pick him up. But it's just a mistake. Your job is to take away anything deep, and he's not doing it here. But give credit to Carr for noticing this, because this is not something that Carr was probably expecting pre-snap, but he was aware of if this happened, what would he do, which is what you want to make sure you do. He's going to make a deep throw over the middle, and this is going to initially be ruled a touchdown. There was a flag down. It was just a formation flag, so it really had nothing to do with the play. So it was a great play from Carr. Didn't count, but still a great play. This next one's another one, I think, where it's going to be zone coverage, and for the Raiders, they are going to have a quick play action, and then they have a receiver run over the middle. Pretty simple concept. We all get how it works. Linebackers move in, hit the receiver over the top, pick up some yards. But what I also like about this is that one of the things you also want to do, not just, get the linebackers out of position, but ideally you want to throw it when your receiver is in between linebackers, because there are those little slivers of, widened gaps and zones. So this way, you don't have to worry as much about trying to throw over the linebacker. You can sort of just, throw it while they're in between. And that's also the play action helps because when they're closer in, those gaps get a little bit wider. But what I love about this, and I'm just going to play it in real time, is the timing. Watch how the second he's in one of those gaps, Carr just times that one so beautifully, and it's a perfectly accurate throw. The reality is Carr's playing good football right now. He really is. He's doing a lot of little things very well, and my singular issue with the Raiders offense right now is not really about Carr whatsoever, although it kind of is. I guess I'll just say what my issue is. It's their red zone offense, and that's kind of an obvious issue to have. Despite the fact that the Raiders have had the 7th most red zone opportunities, they finished 20th in touchdown percentage in the red zone, which just is not good enough. It just isn't. I think this is a talented team, but I think they also have a tough schedule. And if they're going to do better than, if they're going to be good enough to make the playoffs, they're going to have to find ways to start converting in the red zone. And there's just some questionable decision-making that's been going on. And I don't know if it's John Gruden or Carr. Actually, I do know. It's both of them. They're both making mistakes. And let's just get into some of them. Like right here, this is the entire play. It's a cover 1 play. And so the reason I'm showing the entire play instead of just what I want to show is because my whole point is that there's been some questionable decisions. So looking at this play, what's something that you would think right away you'd want to throw to? You might think on the top of the screen. That might be the first thing you see. It's Josh Jacobs, your halfback, running a deep route, which will get into the end zone. He's going up against the linebacker right here. So this is a route that could potentially get open. You don't know, but that's a route that I would consider looking towards. Also worth mentioning, this is a 2nd down and 8 right here. So you do not have to score a touchdown on this play, although obviously you would certainly like to. Although I actually do say that I think there's a better route on this play. And if you look at the bottom of the screen, there's 3 different Raiders players who are all in one area, but 2 of them are going to get out of the area quickly. The 2 receivers in that area are going to both be running routes that will get out of, by that area, I mean, the bottom of the screen, sort of about, 3 to 10 yards down the field. The one player who's going to stay in there is Darren Waller, who's actually running a route that's going to, he's going to run straight into that area and then cut over the middle. So by the time he does that, he should have an opening. And, especially with how far off the Buffalo player who's covering him is, this could be a good route to throw to as well. And that's actually the preferred route. Once this play starts, you notice that a couple things. One thing on the bottom of the screen, Waller is wide open. So obviously this would have been a good, am I being a bit results-oriented here because I saw this play before? I 100% am, but I'm trying to make sure I'm not being too results-oriented here. That play would have worked. On the top of the screen, you look at Jacobs. He is getting covered up completely. There is not really much separation whatsoever. There is contact, which, again, there was contact basically right away. You could argue that that's a little bit of a little bit too much contact. Maybe there's a flag there, but at the end of the day, he's just not open. However, Carr is still going to make this throw, and it's just has no chance of being complete. Now, again, you can make an argument for this, but that's kind of my point, is I feel like a lot of these plays, I'm kind of having to find myself saying, well, that's not what I would do. I guess I can get it, but I feel like you could do something better. I think my biggest critique of this play is less so why didn't he throw it to Waller, which I still do think was the right decision, but more so why is Jacobs the guy who's, the only guy going to the end zone on that play anyways? Why don't you just have Darren Waller be the one on the outside? Isn't that a better situation? Why are you having your halfback who, almost by definition isn't the tallest player on your team? Why don't you have a taller guy running out and doing that? You have talent. Why is Jacobs the guy? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But what makes even less sense to me is what happened on the very next play. So that was 2nd down and 8. Now it's 3rd down and 8. It's going to be quarters coverage now. So going away from man, playing zone, it makes sense. You just don't want to give up the touchdown here. Really, you don't want to give up the 1st down here. So that they're going to be trying to go for, at least 8 yards. And so playing a little conservative here. But for the Raiders, they have a situation here where, again, the receiver who's lined up on the top of the screen, he is running a deep route, whereas you have another receiver who's just going to be running a shallower route. Not just that, but once again, it's a halfback on the top of the screen, that's Richard, and it's Darren Waller who's running the shallower route. So this is the same situation as last time. The biggest difference, of course, being last time was a 2nd down and 8, meaning that on the 2nd down and 8, if you threw it to Waller and there was an incredible tackle and he only gets 6 yards, well, then you're still in a good situation where it's a 3rd down and short here, and you're a pretty good short yardage team. You feel comfortable on a 3rd and 2. Whereas on this play, if you don't get it and you only get 6 yards, well, now it's a 4th down and 2. So, you want to get the touchdown here if you're not going to go for it, and they won't go for it on a 4th and 2 here. I noticed because Carr decides to hit Waller this time, there is a pretty good tackle, but honestly, it would have taken a lot for that to be completion regardless, because there were a couple Buffalo players in the area. And I just wonder why you don't take the shot here, especially on a sideline end zone situation. You can throw it in an area where only your halfback can get it. You especially could if it wasn't your halfback who you were throwing it to. If it was instead, a receiver or a tight end, that would have made way more sense. But now it's a 4th down and 2, and then John Gruden elects to not go for it, which I also don't understand. It's 4th down and 2, deep in enemy territory. This is when you go for it. John Gruden also had, in my opinion, a boneheaded decision when they were down 14 but had just scored a touchdown late in the 4th quarter. However, Gruden elects to go for 1 instead of going for 2. And, statistically, if you get both of those touchdowns, you have about a 24% chance better of winning if you went for 2 the first time than going for 1. So it's just a not a great decision. And you know me, I love John Gruden. He's a great coach. He needs to round out, little rough around the edges on some of his play calling though right now, and he needs to get better, I think. Like this one's another one where this time it's going to be, again, this is a red zone situation. This time they're inside the 10, and also this time this is going to be a third down situation. It's a third down and 7, so it's actually not third and goal, but third down and 7, you have multiple receivers who are going to run quick routes that are going to kind of cut right before the first down marker. Not really entirely sure why you have them cut right before the first down marker, but that's what they're doing. On top of this, you're then going to have another receiver who runs a deep route towards the back of the end zone. So again, which route do you like on this play? I think we all kind of agree it would be the deep route towards the end zone. And after the ball is snapped, you notice there are 2 players Carr could throw it to. He could, go to the end zone. There is definitely a window here. This is a pretty low risk, high reward situation to try to throw it towards the end zone. He also could throw it on the shorter route. But again, this is kind of a tough situation. For one thing, it's again a halfback, Jalen Richard, who is the guy who's open. And also, there's another linebacker who's kind of a little bit in the way, so Carr can't necessarily just throw it right there. Not to mention, Carr can't just hit him immediately because then a New England player could just run over and make a tackle. So, clearly, the best play is to throw a deep ball, throw it into the end zone. Carr instead hits his halfback and also makes not a great throw, which means they aren't even able to get close to the first down marker. So, again, just not a great situation. And it's weird because the Raiders, the way they call plays, they do such a good job of getting into the red zone. But once they get into the red zone, they really do struggle. So I do think that's their biggest thing they need to work on. I think they will work on it. And I think it's going to largely start with them using Darren Waller as more of an end zone threat and sort of, running plays through your better players in the end zone as opposed to, trying to get your halfback to be able to, make these sideline grabs. I think that's probably the move. It'll be interesting to see what they do. So, yeah, that's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And, of course, as always, thanks for watching.